Picture this. While the internet is busy arguing about Johnny Depp's next movie move, he quietly drops a business bombshell that no one saw coming. A rum brand, not just any rum, Three Hearts Rum, and suddenly, whispers turn into shockwaves. Fans are stunned, insiders are scrambling, and people close to Johnny are allegedly asking the same question: why now? Emotions are running high, speculation is exploding, and behind the scenes, not everyone is celebrating. Some see freedom, others see betrayal, and a few think this move could change Johnny Depp's entire legacy. What really pushed him to do this, and who wasn't happy about it? Behind closed doors, the mood around Johnny Depp's world was anything but calm. The announcement of Three Hearts Rum might have looked smooth and celebratory on the surface, but those close to the situation describe a very different atmosphere behind the scenes. According to people who claim to have witnessed the early discussions, this wasn't a spontaneous passion project. It was the result of months of tension, second-guessing, and emotional debates that quietly unfolded while the public was focused elsewhere. Johnny, they say, had been growing restless. Friends noticed it first. The late-night conversations changed tone. Instead of talking about scripts and film sets, he reportedly started talking about ownership, independence, and legacy. One longtime associate allegedly told him, "You've spent your life building other people's empires. When do you build your own?" That question, according to insiders, hit harder than anyone expected. As the idea of a rum brand began to take shape, reactions around him were mixed. Some friends were instantly supportive, seeing it as a natural extension of his image and interests. Others weren't so convinced. One source claims a heated argument broke out during a private gathering when someone questioned whether this move would distract from his acting comeback. Voices were raised, emotions ran high. Johnny, usually calm in those moments, allegedly snapped back, saying, "This isn't a distraction. This is control." Fans, of course, knew nothing about this internal conflict at the time. On social media, they were busy dissecting his rare public appearances and speculating about films. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, Johnny was reportedly sitting in long meetings, tasting samples, debating branding, and obsessing over details. The name, Three Hearts, insiders claim, wasn't chosen lightly. It symbolized passion, resilience, and loyalty, values he felt had been tested in recent years. Not everyone around him felt included in the process. According to whispers, a few longtime collaborators felt blindsided when they realized how far along the project already was. One person allegedly confronted Johnny, asking why they were hearing about major decisions after the fact. The conversation, sources say, was tense. Johnny reportedly responded, "Because for once, I need something that's just mine." That sentence alone, fans would later say, explains everything. As word quietly spread in industry circles, reactions became more complicated. Some Hollywood insiders reportedly scoffed at the idea, dismissing it as another celebrity vanity project. Others took it very seriously. "This isn't merch," one industry watcher allegedly said. "This is a statement," and that statement, according to fans, felt deliberate. Johnny wasn't waiting for permission anymore. Family reactions were said to be emotional as well. While some relatives were proud and excited, others worried about the pressure and scrutiny that would inevitably follow. One source claims a family member asked him whether he was ready for critics to twist this move into something negative. Johnny's alleged response was quiet but firm. "They'll talk no matter what I do." The family, according to those close, was left divided, supportive but cautious. When early hints of the brand started leaking online, fans went into detective mode. Screenshots were shared, old interviews were resurfaced. Suddenly, people were connecting dots that no one had paid attention to before. A casual comment about craftsmanship here, a throwaway line about independence there. Fans were shocked at how long the clues had been hiding in plain sight. At the same time, rumors began circulating about tension with certain business advisors. Some allegedly pushed for a louder, flashier rollout. Johnny, however, was said to prefer a quieter launch. This difference in vision reportedly caused friction. One meeting allegedly ended with Johnny walking out, saying he refused to turn something personal into a circus. That moment, insiders say, cemented his control over the project. As launch day approached, anxiety reportedly spiked. Would fans support it? Would critics mock it? Would it overshadow his creative work? According to people close to him, Johnny wrestled with all of it. One night, after a particularly intense discussion, he allegedly admitted to a friend, "This scares me more than any role I've taken." The vulnerability of that moment, they say, revealed just how much was riding on this decision. When the news finally broke, reactions exploded exactly as expected and unexpected. Fans flooded comment sections with excitement, pride, and emotional messages. Many framed the brand as a symbol of survival and reinvention. Others questioned the timing, wondering if this marked a permanent shift away from acting. Emotions ran high across the board. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere reportedly softened. Some of the earlier critics within his circle began to come around after seeing the response. Apologies were allegedly exchanged. Old arguments lost their edge. One insider claims Johnny quietly told a doubter, "I didn't need everyone to understand. I just needed them to trust me." That trust, fans believe, is still being rebuilt. Yet, not all questions were resolved. Industry chatter continued. Would Three Hearts Rum succeed long-term? Was this the beginning of a broader business empire? Or was it a deeply personal one-off? Even those closest to Johnny reportedly don't have clear answers, and maybe that's the point. What's clear is that this wasn't just about alcohol. It was about ownership, identity, and rewriting a narrative on his own terms. Fans watching from the outside see a man reclaiming control. Insiders watching from within see someone taking a risk that feels bigger than business. As the dust settles, the story of Three Hearts Rum continues to evolve. Conversations are still happening, opinions are still divided, and Johnny Depp, according to those closest to him, is finally at peace with that. Whether this move reshapes his future or simply adds another chapter to his story remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: this decision has changed the dynamic around him forever. As the initial wave of reaction settled, a new layer of drama quietly began to surface. According to people familiar with the situation, Johnny didn't immediately celebrate the launch the way many expected. Instead of popping champagne or flooding social media with promotions, he reportedly retreated into a tight inner circle. That silence only fueled more speculation. Fans were shocked. Why would someone finally achieving independence look so guarded? Behind the scenes, emotions were still raw. One insider claims that old wounds resurfaced almost immediately after the announcement. A former business partner allegedly reached out, questioning why they hadn't been included in the project. The conversation, sources say, was uncomfortable. Accusations were subtly thrown, loyalty was questioned. Johnny reportedly listened quietly before responding with a line that sent the room: "I learned who stays when things get hard." After that, the call ended abruptly. The fallout, however, lingered. Meanwhile, within his creative circle, tension was brewing. Some collaborators worried that aligning too strongly with a lifestyle brand might shift how casting directors and studios perceived him. One heated discussion allegedly turned personal, with someone warning, "Hollywood doesn't forgive image shifts easily." Johnny, according to sources, didn't raise his voice. He simply replied, "Hollywood didn't protect me either." That moment, fans would later say, revealed how deeply past experiences still shaped his decisions. Family dynamics also remained complicated. While public-facing support appeared unified, insiders say private conversations told a different story. A close family member reportedly expressed concern about stress and burnout, reminding Johnny of past periods when pressure took a toll. Emotions ran high during that exchange. Johnny allegedly admitted that this project felt different because, for once, success or failure would be his alone. The family was left divided, torn between pride and fear. As weeks passed, unexpected allies began to emerge. Industry figures who once kept their distance were suddenly more open, offering congratulations and curiosity. Fans noticed the shift, comment sections filled with speculation about what was happening behind the curtain. Some believed this was a soft re-entry into broader business circles. Others thought it was simply opportunists sensing momentum. Johnny, according to insiders, remained skeptical of sudden warmth. Then came the first real test. Early feedback on Three Hearts Rum started circulating privately. Some praised its quality and branding. Others were less kind. One critical comment reportedly hit Johnny harder than expected, not because it questioned the product, but because it dismissed the emotional story behind it. A source claims Johnny stared at the message for a long time before saying, "They'll never taste what it means to me." That sentence spread quietly among his circle. Fans, unaware of these moments, continued building narratives of their own. Edits, theories, and emotional tributes flooded platforms. Many framed the brand as a metaphor for survival and rebirth. Seeing this reportedly affected Johnny deeply. One friend claims he admitted that fan support felt more genuine than industry applause. That realization, however, also came with pressure, an unspoken expectation not to let them down. Internally, debates about the future of the brand intensified. Some advisors pushed for expansion deals and aggressive partnerships. Johnny, however, reportedly resisted. One argument allegedly ended with him saying, "If this becomes noise, it loses its soul." That stance frustrated some team members who worried about missing opportunities. The room, according to sources, went quiet. The divide wasn't about money, it was about meaning. At the same time, whispers of jealousy began circulating. Not everyone in Johnny's extended circle was happy to see him regain control. A source claims someone close subtly mocked the project in a private conversation that later leaked back to Johnny. The reaction was described as calm but cold. Instead of confronting the person, Johnny allegedly chose distance. Fans later noticed certain connections fading away, fueling rumors of silent fallouts. As media attention grew, so did the pressure to comment publicly. Johnny reportedly struggled with what to say and what to leave unsaid. Draft statements were written and scrapped. One insider claims he kept repeating, "I don't want this twisted." That fear wasn't unfounded. Even neutral comments were being dissected online, turned into headlines, and debated endlessly. Still, moments of clarity broke through the chaos. During a quiet evening with close friends, Johnny allegedly reflected on how far he'd come. He admitted that for the first time in years, he felt ownership, not just of a project, but of his choices. That moment, according to those present, was emotional. There were no speeches, just silence, understanding, and a shared sense that something had shifted. The industry continued watching closely. Some executives reportedly reconsidered past assumptions. Others remained cautious, waiting to see if this momentum would last. The question lingering in every conversation was the same: was this reinvention permanent or just a chapter? Even Johnny's closest allies didn't pretend to know the answer. What became increasingly clear was that Three Hearts Rum had done more than introduce a product. It reopened conversations, challenged relationships, and forced long-avoided truths into the open. Old alliances were tested, new boundaries were drawn, and Johnny Depp, standing at the center of it all, was no longer reacting to the world around him, he was choosing how to engage with it. As tensions eased and new routines formed, one thing remained unresolved: how this move would shape everything that followed. Acting, business, public perception, nothing felt separate anymore. Fans sensed it, insiders confirmed it, and somewhere between ambition and healing, Johnny appeared to accept the uncertainty. The story, far from over, continues to unfold in real time. And if those closest to him are right, the real impact of this decision hasn't even been felt yet. As the conversations around Three Hearts Rum grew louder, a strange shift began to happen inside Johnny's circle. The people who had once spoken freely suddenly became careful with their words. According to insiders, meetings felt heavier, loaded with unspoken thoughts. Every suggestion sounded like a test. Every silence felt like judgment. Johnny reportedly noticed it too. One source claims he paused during a discussion and asked bluntly, "Are we talking honestly, or are we performing now?" The room went still. That question marked a turning point. Some advisors leaned in, finally admitting they were nervous, not about the brand, but about the attention it was attracting. With renewed interest came renewed scrutiny. Old narratives were being dusted off. Past controversies were being casually referenced again. One advisor allegedly warned, "Success brings back ghosts." Johnny's response was sharp but controlled, "Then let them watch me live." Behind that confidence, however, doubts lingered. Late nights reportedly returned. Close friends say Johnny began revisiting old journals, old sketches, old songs, pieces of himself he hadn't touched in years. The brand, they say, was stirring memories he hadn't expected. Not all of them were empowering. Some were heavy, some were painful. One friend claims Johnny admitted, "This feels like opening a door I locked for a reason." Fans, of course, sensed the emotional undercurrent. Comments shifted tone. Instead of pure celebration, there was concern. People noticed his eyes in recent photos, the way he spoke slower, the pauses between sentences. Fans began debating whether this new chapter was energizing him or exhausting him. Emotions ran high on both sides. Supporters defended him fiercely. Critics questioned whether he was taking on too much. Then came the first internal fracture that couldn't be smoothed over. According to multiple sources, a senior team member pushed aggressively for a major partnership that Johnny had already expressed discomfort with. The discussion escalated. Voices rose. Accusations of wasting momentum were allegedly thrown around. Johnny finally stood up and said something that stunned everyone present: "If momentum costs me my peace, I don't want it." The meeting ended abruptly. The partnership never moved forward. That decision had consequences. Some team members quietly stepped back. Others questioned their future with the project. Loyalty was tested in real time. One insider claims Johnny noticed who stopped calling and who stayed. He didn't comment, the source said, but he remembered. Meanwhile, industry reaction became more polarized. Some praised Johnny's refusal to play by the usual rules, calling it authentic. Others labeled it stubborn. Rumors began circulating that he was difficult, again, a word that carried history. When asked about it privately, Johnny reportedly laughed bitterly and said, "They call it difficult when you say no." Family tensions resurfaced as well. A relative allegedly confronted him about the emotional toll the project was taking. The conversation, sources say, was quiet but intense. Johnny reportedly admitted that part of him was afraid that if this failed, critics would say he should have stayed quiet. That fear hung heavy in the air. The family was left divided, unsure whether to push him forward or pull him back. At the same time, unexpected messages began to arrive. Old friends, former collaborators, even people who had once distanced themselves reached out with congratulations. Some were genuine, others felt opportunistic. Johnny reportedly struggled to tell the difference. One message, according to a source, simply said, "I'm glad you're still standing." That one, insiders say, stayed with him. As public interest continued to build, the pressure to define the brand's story intensified. Media outlets wanted quotes, narratives were forming without his input. Johnny reportedly resisted stepping into the spotlight, worried that anything he said would be twisted. Draft after draft of statements were written and scrapped. One insider claims he kept repeating, "I don't want this to become a headline about survival. I want it to be about creation." Still, some moments brought reassurance. Early supporters of the brand shared personal stories about what it represented to them. Fans talked about resilience, starting over, reclaiming identity. Reading those messages reportedly moved Johnny deeply. One friend claims he said, "If it means something to them, then it's already done its job." That sentiment softened some of the doubt, but not all. Then, quietly, another twist emerged. According to whispers, Johnny was approached with an opportunity that would blend his creative world with his business one. Details remain vague, but insiders describe it as symbolic, something that would connect his art, his past, and his new direction. The idea reportedly intrigued him but also scared him. One source claims he hesitated, saying, "I don't want to blur the lines unless I'm ready." That hesitation sparked debate within his circle. Some urged him to seize the moment. Others warned against expanding too fast. Emotions ran high again. The familiar split emerged, growth versus protection. Johnny reportedly listened to everyone, then did what he'd been doing more often lately, he waited. That patience frustrated some, reassured others, and confused almost everyone. Fans picked up on the pause. The absence of big announcements became a story in itself. Theories exploded. Some believed he was planning something massive. Others feared he was pulling back. The comment sections became battlegrounds of hope and anxiety. Johnny, according to insiders, watched it all from a distance, trying not to internalize every opinion. In private moments, he reportedly reflected on how different this chapter felt compared to past comebacks. There was no desperation this time, no rush to prove anything, but there was vulnerability. One close friend claims Johnny admitted, "This is the first time I'm choosing something without needing it to save me." That realization, they say, was both freeing and terrifying. As weeks turned into months, the chaos slowly settled into a rhythm. The people who stayed became more aligned. The noise faded slightly. The brand found its footing, not just in the market, but in Johnny's life. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was real. Still, unresolved questions lingered. Would this independence isolate him further from Hollywood or draw it back on his terms? Would Three Hearts Rum become a lasting legacy or a deeply personal chapter? Even Johnny, those closest to him say, doesn't claim to know. What he does know, according to insiders, is that something fundamental has changed. He's no longer waiting for doors to open. He's building his own rooms, and whether the world chooses to step inside or not is no longer the point. The story continues, quietly, imperfectly, and very much unfinished. And that's the story behind Johnny Depp's bold move with Three Hearts Rum, a decision that's shaking up his world, testing relationships, and redefining what it means to take control. Fans are divided, insiders are buzzing, and the next chapter is anyone's guess. What do you think? Will this move mark a permanent reinvention, or is it just a thrilling detour in Johnny's journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you're as shocked as we are, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest insider updates. You won't want to miss what happens next.